everybody, my name is Fairy or the Hedge Witch, and welcome back to my sacred space. So I hope you're all doing well. Thank you guys so much for the support on my last update kind of chat video that I did. It was really sweet, and I'm again super excited to be back. So today I'm filming my first actual video in a really long time, and I'm super excited to get into it. So if you guys watched the most recent video I posted, it was actually a video going over some of my paranormal experiences, and at the end of the video I touched on some different things that had happened in September and October of 2021, and having those experiences really kind of made me reassess, I guess, my craft a little bit and what I was doing regularly in my practice. So today I wanted to kind of touch on some of the different things that I do now for home protection. For my own safety, magical safety, I'm not going to be going over every single thing that I have in place. There are many, many levels of protection that I have going on for my house and on my person, so I'm not going to go over everything, but there are plenty of things that I feel totally comfortable sharing with you guys. I also wanted to chat a little bit about what it's like being kind of an intermediate witch, I guess, and discovering gaps in your knowledge and gaps in your foundation. Honestly, I'm really embarrassed to admit it, but before October of 2021, I really didn't regularly do any sort of protection or anything like that. When I remember to, I typically would do a house cleanse on or near the new moon. And I did do that fairly regularly, but again, it was really just when I remembered or any time that my living space was feeling like it needed to be cleansed. But I didn't have any actual real protection stuff going on. When I do my house cleanses, I do salt all of my entryways, including windows. So that was literally all of the protection that I had going. I think most of us nowadays who are in this community, especially if you're in my age group, I am almost 24 years old. I think most of us are self-taught, or at least were taught by somebody else who was self-taught. For me, my very basic witchcraft knowledge that I learned when I was a teenager, I got from a friend, and that friend was a self-taught witch. So it wasn't formal instruction or anything like that. I want to make that clear. It was more of a resource sharing kind of thing, and they really helped give me kind of a basis of where to start when I was learning paganism and witchcraft. Generally, that kind of thing is very different from a formal coven or any other sort of mentorship or instructional thing. So I knew that there were bound to be things that I missed or just general gaps in my knowledge, but I really feel silly that it was something this big, I guess. When all of these paranormal events happened, it really made me take a step back and think about the fact that I never truly learned much actual practical protection magic for my home. I would say for most people, protection magic is one of the first things that you learn, and it was one of the first things I learned as well. But as I've been doing more of a deep dive into people's, home protections that they post about on social media, and other books that I've been reading and things, there are a lot of different types of protection spells and different types of protection in general. There are just so many of them that got glazed over, I guess, for me. I think it's just because from my experience, there are really two types of witchcraft books. There are the super baby mode, super duper beginner books of what is magic? What is paganism? And then you have the books that are full on grimoires and books of spells or more advanced books, and they assume that you already know all of your basic information. So there's kind of this middle ground that's missing, where you might learn more specific protection things. Instead of just talking about protection spells as a broad category, they would break it down into what a ward is, talking about maybe household spirit guardians and things like that, talking about charms. So that is a knowledge gap that I have been busy filling lately, and I think I went slightly overboard because of my ADHD brain hyperfixating on it, but it's been really interesting. So let's get into talking about the protection stuff. So I think for me, one of the many reasons that I was not doing home protection spells up until a few months ago was because I've always rented the space that I have lived in, aside from my childhood home. Most of the places I've lived have never truly felt like my space, I suppose, if that makes sense. Maybe if some of you guys rent, you might understand what I mean by that, especially if you move a lot like I do. And I guess in my head, a lot of people that did home protection stuff owned their homes, and they had a stronger a stronger energy behind their spells because it was truly their property and their space that they owned legally. So I think part of getting into this protection stuff has been considering the fact that even though I don't own this apartment where I live, I am living here right now, and so it is my space right now, and that's what's been very important for these workings that I've been doing. So for the kind of stuff that I have going right now, I guess I'll back up a little bit. So going back to all of the paranormal stuff that I had going on in October, my partner and I agreed that we wanted to get rid of whatever was passing through our apartment. I still don't really know what it was exactly. I think it just was some sort of wandering spirit that just happened to be passing through our space. But it was starting to cause some issues just with, both of us getting spooked and feeling uncomfortable in our apartment. And obviously feeling comfortable in the place that I live is very important to me. So him and I decided that we were going to do a cleanse of the house and then some protection workings together. Anyway, we went through the house with some green sage, and we then went outside and we salted all of our windowsills, and as the very last step, we salted our doorways. It is really important if you're going to do one of these barrier protection kind of things, you want to make sure that you're doing it after you do your actual house cleanse, because if you do it before your house cleanse, you might end up accidentally trapping the energy inside because of the barrier that you have up. So I was always taught to do it after the cleanse, and it helps keep out all of the stuff that you just cleansed out of your house so it doesn't come immediately back in. So we did that, and then together we came into my altar room, and we decided we wanted to make some different things that could go on our doors and stuff. So our apartment has two main entryways. We have a front door and we have a side door. The front door is the one that faces the street. We use it sometimes, and anybody who is visiting us will usually come through the front door. But because of how our parking lot and everything is laid out, we live on an alleyway, so we park behind the house. So it's usually easier for us to come in the side door. So that's the one that him and I use the most. So since both entrances were frequently used, we ended up making a little protection pouch for both of these doors. So for that, I don't have any footage of this because it was very spontaneous and I wasn't really planning on making a video about it at the time. So you're just gonna have to listen to me talk. But I cut out a couple of little squares of some fabric that I had. If you guys don't know, I do a lot of sewing and costuming, so I have a very extensive fabric stash to choose from. So I picked something that was black. It was maybe 4x4 or so. And Ruben has been practicing making sigils lately, so he made a protection sigil. We both wrote it on a paper and put it in the pouch, and we filled the pouch with herbs, a lot of salt, and anything else that we wanted to add in there. On the same paper that had the sigil, just to really hammer home the intent, we also wrote our intention on that paper. We then tied the little pouches shut. I just kind of gathered the corners of the square together and then wrapped some string around it and tied a really tight knot. And then we just took them out to our doors and we hung them on some existing like hooks and stuff. Our side door has a little curtain rod on it, so we hung it from that. That way it just is protecting our entryways as the doors are being opened throughout the day. I also ended up making some little jingle bell charms for all of our doors. Now on my bedroom door, I know you guys can't see that far over, I do have a set of witch bells on my door, so I didn't make a jingle bell charm for my bedroom door, but all the other ones have a bell charm on them. So what I did for that is I just ran out to the store, I got a bunch of jingle bells. I actually happened to find some black ones, which was really nice. And I also got a little pack of protection symbols. I would have really liked to use an evil eye, that's just the symbol that I prefer to use, but what I ended up finding was some Hamsa charms, which is, some people call it the protection hand. It's like an open palm kind of thing. They sell them at like Joann's because it's one of those symbols that like a lot of I don't want to insult people, but a lot of like basic white girls really like, which is cool. That's fine. It just means that it's something that I can find readily because it's popular. Anyway, I got a pack of like 8 of those, and I also got some black cord. The cord I actually do have in here, so it came on a spool like this. I just cut a pretty long length and I folded it in half so that there is a, well, I just pulled it out of my hand, but there will be a loop, and I threaded the Hamsa charm onto it, and then I tied a knot above it. And then on each of my door charms, I added 6 jingle bells. And what I would do is I would put a bell on there, and then I would tie a knot. So there's a knot in between every single jingle bell. And this is again something you want to make sure that you're keeping your intention in mind, which is going to be banishing and protection. And then when I was done with them, I just hung them on all of our doors. So now whenever we open or close any of the doors in our house, the bells will jingle. If any of you are unaware, bells are really good for cleansing. It is referred to as sound cleansing. That's also a really good way to do cleansing if you aren't able to burn things, is to ring bells around your house. So that was just another little layer of added protection that we chose to do. For the actual like house itself, like the outside part of it, one of the tips that I got from my coworkers, I had something in mind, but when I mentioned to one of my coworkers that I was thinking about doing some home protection stuff, she suggested that I get 4 coffin nails and I put them in the 4 corners of the plot of land that I'm living on. And it will help create an energetic bubble around my space, which is exactly what I wanted. I had been thinking of doing something else, but I think that for a house that we share with other people, it would have been a little bit too, not intense, but like non-discreet, I guess. So the coffin nails thing was a really helpful and awesome idea because they just go into the ground and then they aren't visible anymore. And the last thing I want to share with you guys is actually something that I just finished today. I have it next to me here. I have been wanting to do this for a really long time, but I just suck at remembering to do things, so I never did. But this is a little protection weaving spell that I worked on today. So this is inspired by Molly Roberts. The video that it's inspired by is not public. It was a video that she posted on Patreon, and the spell that she did was a healing weaving spell, but I wanted to do it for extra home protection. So this is a branch from the tree that's in our yard. It had fallen on its own. If you want to do something like this, just make sure that you have a branch that is fairly sturdy and it has a fork in it like this. And then you just kind of create a weaving loom in between the 2 branch forks. You can use all kinds of different materials for this. In the video that Molly posted, she used like ribbon. It was like one of them was a satiny ribbon and one of them was see-through. I just chose to use yarn on mine. I wanted to, aside from the protection aspect, I also wanted to bring together some feelings of peace and harmony in our house. So I used some cool toned colors, but again, you could really use anything that you want. And on here, I wrapped some black velvet ribbon just to give it a little bit extra like protection kick, and also I think it looks nice. And on the actual woven part, I glued on a little spider charm, and it's actually perfect. The little spider is on like a lock, which is great again for protection. And down here I do have another Hamsa charm that is hanging. You could also add stuff like beads. You could do like wire, you could hang crystals from this, you could hang tassels, you can hang all kinds of stuff. I wanted to keep it simple. I might go back later and add like possibly a like petition intention paper in a bottle, and I could hang the bottle from this. You could also again do like a little herb pouch hanging from this. The possibilities are honestly endless. And then when it's not 12:47 a.m., I'm planning to hang this on one of the walls that's above one of our outside doors. So that's just again another idea for you. I really love using art magic in my craft. It's very effective for me. It usually does its job very, very well. And the process is just really nice. It's nice to be creative, and this weaving process is very meditative as well, so that is always nice. That's all I have for you guys today. If you are comfortable, you should let me know in the comment section below what kind of protections you guys have going in your homes. There are so many different things that you can do, and it's just really interesting to see the ideas that other people have. Just a quick side note as we're wrapping up here, I just wanted to let you all know that I am hoping to have regular uploads again. I'm aiming to do every other week, probably on Mondays. That's usually the day that seems to work best for me. So I can't promise anything because I am taking a couple more college courses this spring, but I really want to try my best to make sure that I am giving you guys regular content. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you are having a wonderful start to your 2022, and I will see you next time. Bye.